Lecture 56, The Economy of Gore. Currency, Trade, Debt, and the Merchant Caste. A lecture by Sarakin Thorne. Part 1 Opening. Masters, mistresses, free men and free women, Kajare and Kajari, I greet you. The circle is open. We have spoken of the castes of Gore, of warriors and scribes, of builders and physicians, of assassins and peasants. But there is one caste we have not yet examined in detail. A caste that is not as glamorous as the warrior, not as learned as the scribe, but without which Gore would starve, freeze, and fall into chaos. The merchants. The caste of merchants is concerned with the sale and trade of merchandise for a profit. There are almost as many subcastes of the merchant's caste as there are products to be sold. The caste includes the slavers. Its caste color is white and gold. This lecture will cover the Gorean economy, the coins that jingle in a merchant's purse, the trade routes that connect the cities, the markets and fairs where goods change hands, the ships that carry cargo across Thassa, the debts that bind men and cities, and the smugglers who trade in forbidden goods. The circle is open. Part 2, The Coinage of Gore. The Gorean economy is not depicted in great detail in the novels. The monetary system can be confusing, and there are scant references on the prices of many items. Norman had little need for an extensive pricing list, but we are able to make some useful generalizations and deductions based on what references do exist. The basic Gorean coin. The basic Gorean coin is about 1.5 inches in diameter and 3/8 of an inch thick. There is either the image of a Tarsk or a Tarn on one side of the coin and a letter on the other side. The letter signifies the city of origin of the coin. The coin is surprisingly heavy for its size, though no actual weight is given. The denominations. There are several different types of coins mentioned in the books. These include the Tarsk bit, the copper Tarn, the copper Tarsk, the silver Tarn, the silver Tarsk, the gold Tarn, and the double gold Tarn. However, there is some confusion over whether all of these coins should actually exist within the currency system. The primary problem is that, though the copper and silver Tarns are mentioned in the early novels, they seem to vanish in the later books. The later novels are also the primary place to find detailed currency conversion references, and these passages fail to mention the copper and silver Tarns. By analyzing the references to these coins, it appears that Norman may have phased them out during the first 10 books. It seems that Norman tried to make a more coherent currency system in the later books and chose to jettison the copper and silver Tarns. He appears to have chosen to make those coins into copper and silver Tarsks instead. Thus, the currency system from lowest denomination to highest is Tarsk bit, copper Tarsk, silver Tarsk, gold Tarn, double Tarn. This makes a logical and coherent system. The Tarsk bit. A copper coin worth from 1/4 to 1/10 of a copper Tarsk, depending upon the original value of the coin and how that coin has been segmented. The usual number of Tarsk bits in a copper Tarsk tends to be 8. When copper Tarsks are struck, they are typically pre-segmented with deep grooves which enable a user to snap the coin into smaller pieces, like the wedges of a pie. Half of a standard copper Tarsk would therefore be worth 4 bits. 1/4 of the whole coin, or 1/2 of 1/2, would therefore be worth 2 bits, and so on. This replicates a similar antique coining practice which existed on Earth. The copper Tarsk disc. A copper coin that is the whole coin of least value, equaling up to 10 Tarsk bits, though more typically 8. The copper Tarsks of R, for instance, are designed to be separated into 8 sections. The silver Tarsk disc. The primary silver coin in use upon Gore, worth 100 copper Tarsks. The silver Tarsk is probably the single most used denomination of Gorian coinage, owing to its medial value. A silver Tarsk is, to most Gorians, a coin of considerable value. The gold Tarn disc. A common unit of currency, with a rather high monetary value owing to the metal from which it is made, and worth 10 silver Tarsks. It is also minted in double weight, as described below. Several cities mint their own gold Tarn discs, but the Gorian standard is typically the gold Tarn disc of R, which is highly valued for its consistent quality and purity. A gold Tarn disc is more than many common laborers earn in a year. 5 pieces of gold is also a fortune on Gore. One could live, for example, in many cities, though not in contemporary R with its press on housing and shortages of food, for years on such resources. The double-weight gold Tarn disc. A gold Tarn disc minted at double thickness to be twice the weight of a standard gold Tarn disc. It is otherwise similar to a regular gold Tarn disc in all respects, and is, due to its increased weight and bullion value, the highest denomination of coinage in use upon Gore. The silver stater. In use in several Gorian cities, notably Brundisium and Argentum, it is probably roughly equivalent in value to a standard Gorian silver Tarsk disc. The gold stater. In common usage in the city of Brundisium and presumably elsewhere. The gold stater of Brundisium is known to be of excellent quality and good weight, and is probably of slightly higher value than a traditional gold Tarn disc. Part 3. Exchange rates and standardization. There is little standardization in currency exchange rates on Gore. At each Sirdar fair, the bankers try to pass a motion standardizing coinage rates, but it never passes. Bankers are a subcaste of the merchant caste and are literally known as coin merchants. The particular currency ratios vary from city to city and region to region. From 4 to 20 Tarsk bits equal 1 copper Tarsk. From 10 to 100 copper Tarsks equal 1 silver Tarsk. It does seem standard, though, that 10 silver Tarsks equal 1 gold Tarn. A double gold Tarn is worth 2 gold Tarns. The most detailed description of a currency equivalency system is in Magicians of Gore. Though this may hold only for some cities, it is of benefit nonetheless. 8 Tarsk bits equal a copper Tarsk, 100 copper Tarsks equal a silver Tarsk, and 10 silver Tarsks equal 1 gold Tarn. On this approach, there would be literally 8,000 Tarsk bits in a single gold piece. In Port Car and the Vosk Basin region, there are 10 Tarsk bits to a copper Tarsk and 100 coppers to a silver Tarsk. Accepted coins throughout Gore. Certain coins are respected and accepted in most cities. These include the golden Tarn discs of R, Koro Ba and Port Car, the silver Tarsk of Tharna, and the golden stater of Brundisium. A stater is simply another term for a gold coin, and it derives from ancient Greece. Paper currency. Paper currency does not exist on Gore. This places a burden on someone wishing to carry a large amount of money, as so many coins would be extremely heavy. Part 4. Banking and credit. Luckily, there are alternatives to carrying heavy sacks of coins. Banks deal in notes, letters of credit, drafts, and checks. This vastly reduces the burden in large purchases, especially for merchants who might be making large purchases of stock. Most cities have a street of coins, either a street or district, where all sorts of financial services are available. Money lending and loans are one of these available services. Little else is said, though, concerning the services offered by Gorian banks. Wages and value. Let us try to place the currency system into a perspective that can be understood. This will give us a better framework to understand prices and wages. A gold tarn disc is more than many common laborers earn in a year. This helps show the value of a gold tarn. 5 pieces of gold in its way is also a fortune on Gore. One could live, for example, in many cities, though not in contemporary R with its press on housing and shortages of food, for years on such resources. A golden tarn disc was a small fortune. The value of silver tarsks is also generalized in the novels. A silver tarsk is, to most Gorians, a coin of considerable value. My financial resources, 10 silver tarsks, such a sum would last a man months on Gore. If we try to translate this into United States dollars for comparison, we might assume a common laborer made minimum wage or a bit above that. Then a gold tarn would be at least between $15,000 and $25,000. For simplicity's sake, we can average this to $20,000. Using this starting point, we can translate the other Gorian coins. If we assume 10 silver tarsks equal 1 gold tarn, then a silver tarsk is worth about $2,000. If we then assume 100 copper tarsks equal 1 silver tarsk, then a copper tarsk is worth about $20. If we then assume 8 tarsk bits equal a copper tarsk, then a tarsk bit is worth about $2.50. Please remember that these are only rough approximations. They give you a relative comparison between Gorian and Earth prices. Wages. The wages of a common laborer would then be about 1 to 2 copper tarsks a day. More skilled laborers would earn more money. For example, a sailmaker in Port Car earns 4 copper tarsks a day. A high caste builder, such as a fine shipwright in Port Car, could earn as much as 1 gold tarn a day. To hire an average mercenary, a price of a silver tarsk a month would be a good wage, and many would not even get that much. If this is a Gorian month, he would average 4 copper tarsks a day. Obviously, a person's wage is determined by several different factors. The type of caste, the skills of the person, the knowledge level required for the job, the city, the rarity of one's skills, the wealth of one's employer, and more will help determine the wage. Most wages for low castes will be in copper tarsks per day. There will be few who receive silver tarsks per day, and even fewer that receive gold tarns per day. BTB plus principle applied. In online roleplay, everyone can be as rich as they desire. Cyber money is infinite. If you wish to have 1 million gold tarns, there is nothing stopping you from claiming to have that much. Thus, we have seen some outrageous prices paid for wages or other items such as slaves. Gold tarns are tossed around as if they were pennies. If this were a tabletop roleplay game, we would have a monetary system to help limit such outrageous spending. Though a monetary system for online roleplay would be helpful, logistically it is a difficult system to enact and enforce. A BTB plus approach encourages realistic valuation. Gold tarns should not be the common currency of your roleplay. A silver tarsk is a coin of considerable value. A gold tarn is a fortune. Treat them as such. Part 5. The Merchant Caste. The caste of merchants is a low caste, but it is respected, unlike the assassins who are despised. Their caste color is white and gold. The subcastes of merchants. There are almost as many subcastes of the merchant's caste as there are products to be sold. These include slavers, those who trade in human beings. They are a subset of the merchant caste, not a separate caste. Bankers, literally known as coin merchants. They deal in loans, letters of credit, and exchange rates. Shopkeepers, those who maintain permanent storefronts in the cities. Peddlers, itinerant merchants who travel from town to town. Market vendors, those who set up stalls in the public markets. Caravan masters, those who organize and lead trade caravans. Ship captains, those who transport goods across the sea. The codes of the merchant. The merchant caste has its own codes, just as the warriors do. These codes govern fair dealing, weights and measures, and the resolution of disputes. A merchant who cheats his customers may be banned from the markets, have his goods confiscated, or be enslaved. However, the merchant caste is also pragmatic. The codes do not forbid cleverness. A merchant may sell a poor quality item for a high price if he can convince the buyer of its value. Caveat emptor, let the buyer beware, is a principle that applies on Gore as much as on earth. The slavers. Slavers are a subcaste of the merchant caste. They are responsible for capturing, training, and selling slaves. A slaver is not a warrior. He does not fight for honor, he captures for profit. His codes are different, more flexible, more pragmatic. The slavers maintain their own guilds, their own kennels, and their own training facilities. A well-trained slave is a valuable commodity. A poorly trained slave is a waste of money. BTB plus principle applied. The merchant caste is described in the books. The subcastes are logical expansions based on the references to bankers and slavers in the novels. A BTB plus approach respects the existence of these subcastes without inventing new ones that have no basis in the text. A merchant who trades in information might exist, but that would be a logical expansion, not a canonical fact. Part 6. Trade routes and markets. The arteries of Gorean commerce are the trade routes, over land, over sea, and through the air. Overland trade. Caravans carry goods across the continent. They travel from Ar to Tyria, from Torvaldsland to the Vosk Basin. They are guarded by mercenaries, for the roads are dangerous. Bandits prey on slow caravans. Rival cities may seize goods if they are not properly documented. The great caravans are organized by the merchants of the major cities. A caravan from Ar to Tyria might include 100 wagons, 200 guards, and a dozen merchants. Sea trade. The Thassa Ocean is the superhighway of Gore. Ships carry goods from Port Kar to Kos, from Tyros to Shendi, from Brundisium to the islands of the west. The great maritime powers Kos and Tyros control the sea lanes. Their fleets protect merchant shipping for a fee. Pirates from Port Kar prey on unprotected vessels. River trade. The great rivers of Gore, the Vosk, the Cardius, the Alni, carry goods into the interior. Flat-bottomed barges, poled by slaves, move goods from the coast to the inland cities. The Sirdar fairs. The Sirdar fairs are the largest markets on Gore. They are held at the foot of the Sirdar Mountains during the period of the Love Wars. Merchants from across Gore gather to buy, sell, and trade. The fairs are neutral ground. No warfare is permitted. No violence is allowed. The priest-kings enforce this peace. A merchant who draws a blade at the Sirdar fairs risks the flame death. At the Sirdar fairs, bankers try to pass a motion standardizing coinage rates, but it never passes. Local markets. Every city has its own markets. The largest is the Street of Coins, where financial services are available. There are also the Tarn Market, the Slave Market, the Cloth Market, the Grain Market, each dedicated to a specific type of good. The markets are open from dawn to dusk. After dark, they close, and the night belongs to thieves and outlaws. BTB plus principle applied. The trade routes and markets are described in the books. The Sirdar fairs are a major plot element in several novels. A BTB plus approach respects these canonical locations and uses them as the foundation for roleplay. A new market in a new city is possible, but it should be added logically, not invented arbitrarily. Part 7. Debt and Usury. Debt is a reality of Gorean life. Cities borrow from banks. Merchants borrow to finance caravans. Individuals borrow to survive. Usury. Lending money at interest is not forbidden on Gore. The bankers, a subcaste of the merchant caste, charge interest on loans. The rates vary by city, by risk, and by the reputation of the borrower. Debt slavery. A free person who cannot pay their debts may be enslaved by their creditor. This is legal in most Gorean cities. The debtor becomes the property of the one they owe. They work until the debt is paid unless the creditor decides otherwise. Debt slavery is supposed to be temporary. In practice, many debt slaves never earn their freedom. The debt is calculated to be impossible to repay, or the master simply refuses to release them. Public debt. Cities themselves can fall into debt. R has had financial crises. Tyria has borrowed from merchants to fund wars. Kos and Tyros finance their fleets through loans. The most famous reference to debt in the ancient world comes from 6th century Greece, where a large part of the population was in debt to a relatively small number of wealthy aristocrats. Mortgage foreclosure included the right to enslave the debtor physically, as opposed to the modern merely financial form. This crisis was solved by the Greek statesman Solon, who abolished much of the debt, released debtors from their guarantees, and made it illegal to enslave debtors in the future. Gore has no Solon. There is no bankruptcy protection. A debtor who cannot pay becomes property. BTB plus principle applied. The books mention debt slavery and the enslavement of debtors. This is the foundation. A BTB plus approach respects this and does not import modern bankruptcy protections or credit scores into Gorean roleplay. A debtor on Gore is in genuine danger of losing everything, including freedom. Part 8. Smuggling. Not all trade is legal. Smugglers operate in the shadows, moving goods that are forbidden, untaxed, or simply too valuable to declare. What is smuggled? Forbidden weapons, firearms, explosives, advanced technology are smuggled by agents of the Curii. The priest kings hunt them. The flame death awaits those who are caught. Untaxed goods, wine, silk, spices, are smuggled to avoid city tariffs. A merchant who can bring a shipload of Tyrian silk into R without paying the customs fee can sell it at a much higher profit. Slaves. A slaver who captures slaves outside the territory of his guild may smuggle them into a city where he has no license to trade. The local slavers will not be pleased, but if the slaves are valuable enough, they may look the other way. Information, scrolls, maps, letters of credit can be smuggled as easily as goods. A scribe with a stolen document can sell it to the highest bidder. How smuggling is done. Smugglers use hidden compartments in wagons, false bottoms in ships, and bribes to customs officials. They land goods in isolated coves, away from the watchful eyes of the port authorities. Port Car is a center of smuggling. The pirates of Port Car do not care about the laws of other cities. They will carry anything anywhere for a price. The jungle ports of Shendi are another hub. The Kimwitu do not enforce the laws of R or Kos. A ship that lands at Shendi can offload goods that would be seized in Brundisium. The risks. Smugglers risk death from the authorities, from rival smugglers, from the priest kings. A smuggler caught with forbidden technology may face the flame death. A smuggler caught evading tariffs may be imprisoned, enslaved, or executed. BTB plus principle applied. Smuggling is mentioned in the books, particularly in the context of Curii weapons and illegal trade. A BTB plus approach respects this foundation and uses smuggling as a roleplay opportunity, but does not allow smuggling to become so common that it destroys the economic logic of the world. Smuggling is risky. It should be treated as such. Part 9. Roleplay Economy. A BTB plus perspective. In online roleplay, everyone can be as rich as they desire. Cybermoney is infinite. If you wish to have 1 million gold tarns, there is nothing stopping you from claiming to have that much. Thus, we have seen some outrageous prices paid for wages or other items such as slaves. Gold tarns are tossed around as if they were pennies. BTB plus principle applied. Realistic valuation is key to immersive roleplay. A gold tarn is a fortune. A silver tarsk is a coin of considerable value. A copper tarsk is a day's wage for a common laborer. A tarsk bit is pocket change. When you pay for a slave, a meal, a room for the night, a round of paga, ask yourself, would a common laborer spend this much? Would a craftsman? Would a wealthy merchant? The answer should guide your roleplay. The Gorean currency system in Second Life. In Second Life, a roleplay currency system called the Gorean Currency System, GCS, has been developed. It is described as a no-profit, 100% roleplay and realistic Gorean currency system using bits, copper tarsks, silver tarsks, and gold tarns. It relies on a HUD system that is not necessary to wear at all times, but only when you need to pay someone. The system is considered by the books, as it uses many references on the Gorean currency found in the books. The GCS is set in several different Second Life Gorean lands, including the Isle of Tarns, Ver Fjord, the city of Lydius, and the city of Lara. The GCS is a wide region network, meaning you can use it in any region that is affiliated with the GCS for their currency system. BTB plus principle applied. The GCS is an excellent example of BTB plus in action. The books provide a foundation. The gaps are filled logically. The system respects the value of gold, silver, and copper. It does not inflate prices. It creates a realistic economic framework for roleplay. Part 10. What destroys the feeling? BTB plus perspective. Do not do these things, treating gold tarns as common currency. A gold tarn is a fortune. Most Goreans will never see one, ignoring the value of copper. A copper tarsk is a day's wage for a common laborer. Treat it with respect, assuming all coins are accepted everywhere. Certain coins, the gold tarns of Ar, the silver tarsks of Tharna, the staters of Brundisium, are widely accepted. Others may be discounted or refused, forgetting that paper currency does not exist. All transactions are in coin, in letters of credit, or in barter, ignoring the street of coins. Banks, money lenders, and financial services exist in the major cities, making smuggling too easy. Smuggling is risky. The priest-kings enforce their laws with the flame death. Customs officials enforce tariffs with fines, imprisonment, and enslavement, forgetting that the merchant caste has codes. A merchant who cheats his customers may face consequences, not from the law, but from his caste. Using out-of-character currency systems to dictate roleplay. A HUD-based system like the GCS can enhance roleplay, but it should not replace it. The roleplay is the point, not the numbers. BTB plus principle applied. The foundation is the books. The books describe a realistic economy with valuable gold, useful silver, and common copper. A BTB plus approach respects this and does not inflate prices or devalue coins for the sake of convenience. Gold tarns are rare. Treat them that way. Part 11. Closing the circle. I have spoken. Now I ask you to consider. The economy of Gore is not a modern economy. There is no paper currency. There is no central bank. There is no Federal Reserve. There are only coins, copper, silver, gold, and the merchants who trade them. A gold tarn is a fortune. A silver tarsk is a coin of considerable value. A copper tarsk is a day's wage. A tarsk bit is pocket change. The merchant caste, wearing white and gold, governs trade. The subcastes include bankers, slavers, shopkeepers, peddlers, market vendors, caravan masters, and ship captains. Trade moves along the arteries of Gore, overland caravans, sea ships, river barges, and the wings of tarns. The Sirdar fairs are the largest markets, neutral ground where merchants from all cities gather. The priest-kings enforce the peace. Debt is dangerous. A debtor who cannot pay may become a slave, or his city may fall into the hands of creditors. Smuggling is risky. The priest kings enforce their laws with the flame death. Customs officials enforce tariffs with fines and enslavement. And in role play, we must resist the temptation to toss gold tarns around like pennies. A gold tarn is more than most common laborers earn in years. Treat it that way. The circle is yours.